The nation's highest court is about to tackle this question. Should it be illegal to make threats on Facebook, or is what you post protected by the First Amendment? The court will hear the case of a man who went to prison because of posts he wrote on his personal Facebook page. Prosecutors say the man made threats about smothering his wife and dumping her body in a creek. In another post, the man wrote he had, quote, enough explosives to take care of the state police and sheriff's department. The guy says he's an aspiring rapper and claims his posts were not threats, but rather song lyrics. His attorneys argue he had a First Amendment right to make those statements. If the Supreme Court rules in his favor, his conviction could be overturned. Whitney Boan joins us now. She is a criminal defense attorney. This is a fascinating case in reading some of what happened here. The guy got 44 months in prison for doing the things that, a lot of people do every day. But, the authorities said, hey, this guy is a serious problem and a serious threat.
That's right. That's correct. I think that it definitely escalated when he started making posts after the FBI came to his house to investigate posts that he had been making about his now ex-wife and his former employer, which was an amusement park, and some of the employees that were very gruesome and violent in nature. It didn't help then that when the FBI did come to his house, that he then in turn made another post about the FBI needs to come with a bomb or an explosive expert next time they show up at his door, and they better have a warrant.
Yeah.
It did not help matters.
He said that, he was just a happy family guy. He had a wife, had a couple of kids, and when she filed for divorce, it just rocked his world, and this was the only way he could express himself.
And I think he's like a lot of people. I think we all have seen it on Facebook that, there tends to sometimes be individuals who have pretty public breakdowns emotionally, mentally, right there on Facebook. And so it's this whole new dynamic of social media where what is the true effect of what you say, even if you're just really venting, or it's kind of like a journal, but in a public format. There's some real implications as far as what the Supreme Court's going to be considering in terms of whether or not that's protected speech or not, or can rise to the level of a crime.
His attorney and the guy himself say he was just kind of being like Eminem, the rap artist who puts a lot of sort of violent, sometimes anti-female rants in his lyrics. He apparently doesn't much care for his ex-wife either. Here's a sample from one Eminem song. And I'm told, it's a little tough to tell, but I'm told he wrote these lyrics himself. He says, I'm tired of the games. I just want her back. I know I'm a liar. If she ever tries to leave me again, I'm going to tie her to the bed and set this house on fire. Now, why isn't somebody sending Eminem to prison over lyrics like those?
Well, I think the U.S. Supreme Court has analyzed this sort of issue before in terms of, is there a cultural or scientific or educational significance to the speech versus is it just simply a true threat? And in the instance of a song, I think that the U.S. Supreme Court has previously held that there's some cultural expression there, there's some value, as opposed to, it's a piece of art, as opposed to just somebody spewing words that are violent in nature and could be intended or at least construed as threats. I think that's the distinction.
Gilberto Valle became known as the cannibal cop here in New York City. He was on the New York City Police Department, got caught writing, posting, chatting with friends online about wanting to kidnap and cook and eat women, including his wife at the time. She found out about it, divorced him. He went to jail. He was facing up to life in prison on a kidnapping charge. And then a judge said earlier this year, hey, it was all fantasy. He wasn't going to do it. It's essentially protected free speech. How is his case any different from this guy who's been convicted and sentenced to 44 months in prison?
Here's what I see as the major distinction, and I think that the Federal Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit, where this case is coming from, where it was previously held that his conviction was affirmed, they heavily relied upon the fact that his wife, Mr. Alanis's wife, actually got an injunction for protection against him based upon some of his earlier posts that were very gruesome and violent in nature about what he was going to do to her, how he was going to kill her, he was going to make it look like a rape and a murder and put a pillow over her head. They relied upon the fact that even after she sought and obtained that injunction for protection from him, he continued to make posts of that nature, not only about her, but saying, I don't care if I go to jail. I don't care, if the FBI shows up at my house. You know, your injunction better be enough and thick enough in your pocket to protect you from a bullet. I think that in that instance, you know, you have to look at this in terms of, is this really a threat, or does it really have any cultural significance, and what is the interplay between the two? You have to balance the two. I think that, you know, the Third Circuit Court of Appeal was not incorrect in finding that the interest in protecting the public and maintaining social order trumped his right to be able to say that on a social media network such as Facebook.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater, but what you say on Facebook is a little more murky. We'll find out. Supreme Court is hearing the case on Monday. Whitney Boan, thank you.
Thank you.